Aloha. Well, welcome to class 3 of the Quantum Inner Child. I know that you've been with me for 2 weeks and you're watching this. I'll explain that in a moment. So you know who I am, but I am Patrick Feren, and I am a wonderful, wonderful inner child facilitator. So what we're doing today is last week, there were about 20 of you here, which was great, but we like to always film it, and though Rita did a wonderful job of holding that camera up, for 2 hours to try to film it on YouTube, the quality was not that great. So what we decided to do for the 7 people that were watching it online or were going to watch it online, we decided to go ahead and get all the material out and do the class with no audience. And you know me, that's not the easiest thing to do, but there's a few people in the room. So let's get started on week 3. And that is, last week before you left, you were given a word. And I know that you're not in the room, but whatever that word was, I said right before we left the second class, I wanted you to take a good look at it and just see how that's still affecting your life right now. Some people said, I'm sad, happy, isolated, whatever it is. These words are actually important. It's a fun thing to go around the room and ask somebody how they're feeling in this moment and then to say that. But they can really be like a GPS for us to find out what's really going on. So last week, we had, let me pop over here, Rob, and last week, this is what we did. And I just want to do a little summary of it and a little background of what we did last week. Last week, we located the energy of the inner child. How we did that is we went into meditation. And I believe Rita played the bowls. And we went in there, and my belief system and all of the inner child work that John Bradshaw has done and many, many people have done, what they have realized is that it can be in several places, and sometimes you can feel it. This power that we've been talking about of the inner child can be in the heart, it can be in the solar plexus, it can be in the back, it can be many, many things. So what we did is we did a meditation, if you'll remember, and Rita played the bowls, and we just went through the chakras, through the energy centers, as Joe Dispenza calls it. And we went through each one, and we just asked for that inner child to be located. And some of us found it, and some of us didn't really have anything happening, but a lot of people had a lot of different experiences. So we did that last week, and and the healing without remembering, that's where a lot of people shared with us that they had this feeling that they weren't fully connected to that inner child or that inner energy, and they didn't have a memory of it, but it was kind of there and kind of not. What I know is that you can work with yourself and actually just allow yourself, if it needs to be remembered, it will be remembered. Remember something, the inner child, from my standpoint and from all the work I've done the past 20 years, is that if that inner child is there to protect you. Isn't that a nice feeling that there's this, sometimes we think we're protecting the inner child, but there's also this energy that comes in and protects us and lets us not remember, perhaps, because it might be too traumatic, or sometimes it's just not that important to remember. But when you do the work and you allow it to be, sometimes it'll just pop up and you'll think, wow, I have a memory. So just be gentle with yourself as you're excavating these wonderful memories that may not be so wonderful. So just be aware, be careful, and be loving always to yourself. And then we had always, since the beginning, the reframing, reclaiming, and renaming. And that is basically just telling your story, again, with new eyes, a new perspective. And I know I've done it many times. We've had many examples. The quick one I'll give you is when I was a kid and no one picked me. I can cry about it now. Kicked me, they kicked me too, but they didn't pick me for the sports. I was always the last to be picked. We have heard that in many stories, and that can be devastating, and it was actually, until I reframed that and realized that these boys out in the playground, they did not like me. I just was a really poor player in basketball and football and you name it. I wasn't very good at it. And what I realized by reframing it and reclaiming it and renaming it is they just wanted to win the game. They didn't hate Patrick. All those years I carried that like, oh, they didn't like me, they didn't like me. They just wanted to win the game. So that's a very simple illustration, but in reality, we can go back and not change the past, but we can go back and look at it where we are now with adult eyes through the inner child and perhaps see it differently. And as they say, you put a new frame on a picture, sometimes the picture looks completely different. So that's what we did. And then we touched on foreboding joy. So foreboding joy is very, very easy to do in this inner child work, is because we are preparing and actually rehearsing things not to work out so good, the other shoe to drop. You know, don't get too excited. I remember hearing that as a kid. Don't get too excited. You don't want to be disappointed. And so we kind of hang on to that. And what's important about foreboding joy is that if we find ourselves, which I don't know anyone who hasn't found themselves with foreboding joy, the best way to get out of that, and I know Brene Brown talks about that in her work, is gratitude. The moment you start rehearsing tragedy, as they call it, just go into this moment right here, right now, touch your heart, do whatever, just put your hand on your heart and just be grateful for all of the things that are going on right now, and that will land you right in the moment. So I know all of you out in the audience are having a great time right now. I see a couple people sleeping, but besides that, here we go. So someone said to me the other day, last week, or the second week that we were here, that are we only looking for things that went wrong in our childhood? And that is not true. The only reason that we even go into that, to that deep level, is because that's usually what's standing in our way. But there are plenty of things to celebrate about ourselves and how we were raised. There was a lot of good things that happened. But I think that a lot of times we're focusing on the things that are keeping us stuck, the things that are clogged in us, that we have a trouble moving forward because we're still holding on to something in the past. So a quote by that wonderful mystical Patrick Feren says, "The focus is not what's wrong with me and needs to be fixed. The focus is what's right with me and requires a celebration." Isn't that a great feeling? To celebrate yourself. We do it a lot at CSL Kauai in the Institute of Magnificence. We're constantly reminding ourselves of how magnificent we are. So I'd like you to take a moment, even if you were in class and you're watching this again because you just want more and more of it until we meet again. I just want you to just pause for a moment and do this. I want you to think about the attributes that you have that were developed in your childhood that really served you and continue to serve you now. So go ahead, and you're watching. I know this isn't live, so you can pause where you're at in your house right now, and I'll be right back with you. I'm back. There we go. That was wonderful. I know you took probably 15 minutes to journal about this, and I took exactly 1 second. So there you go. This is how we do it. This is how we roll. So going on, but the most important thing about celebrating the inner child is that part of us, that joyful part of us, loves to party, right? Loves to celebrate, loves joy. And sometimes that got a little buried throughout our life, and as we start to grow up, we start to think, grow up, and then we kind of leave some of that celebration of self behind. I am so urging and inviting us all to just celebrate ourselves on a daily basis, no matter what is going on. If we are in a point of incredible depression, find one moment to just let that inner child find one moment of joy and celebration. So I want to read this because I want to break it down a little bit. We're going to go into everyone's favorite thing right now, and that is forgiveness. It exhausts me to even think about it because it can take on so many different ways. So many people define forgiveness. I define forgiveness now in my life. I've defined it differently throughout my life, but I define it as letting go, of allowing myself to be free of the past. It's not about anybody out there or condoning anything or allowing somebody to have done something horrible and you're saying that's fine. No, what you're saying is, I've loved myself enough to forgive this so that I get to move on. Because I know for me that the more and more I brought up what was done to me by my father and brother and mother and all of the events that I have coming out in my book very, very soon. That's 2 months. I thought I'd plug it. There'll be a wonderful, wonderful book signing when that happens. But some of the stories in there, the more and more I relive them as in the victim state, then the more and more that it plays over and over in my life, and I have given my power. And we're going to do an exercise about taking back our power later on in this video. But to me, that's what it is. Forgiveness to me, staying with the F word, is about freedom. I have never been more free than when I let go of all of the condemnation of the people that have done me wrong in my life, especially in childhood, and forgiven myself. Because there was a lot of times I wondered, what did I do? That's really a big thing in childhood forgiveness and childhood trauma, especially, that you think, what did I do that caused that person to treat me that bad? And you did nothing. You did nothing. And there's 4 stages that I love and I work with, is that blaming stage that we put ourselves in any kind of abuse, and we blame ourselves for it, and then we become the victim. Then when we realize through therapy, through just self-awareness, that they need to be responsible, it needs to be responsible, whatever that event is needs to be responsible, and then I was a victim. We don't want to stay there, but we do want to feel it. It's like traveling a road that says, wow, I was victimized in the standard of the world, and I'm confused about it. And then when you give them back their stuff, give them back their responsibility for what they did, then you become a survivor. And it's like a moment of like Rocky Balboa. I survived it. We use the word a lot, right? Cancer survival, we're surviving this, I survived that. How'd you get through? I survived. Or you go up to somebody and you go, how you doing? Oh, I'm surviving. And to me, I think that where I'm at and where I'm inviting us all to be is that there's something even more powerful than I just got through it. There's that thriving state that we can have that says, not only did I get through it, but I am thriving because they no longer have the power over me. They no longer control me. My father controlled me for many, many years. Not every day of it, but every moment that I held on to that. He still had power over me. He still had ownership of me. And then when I let that go and I said no more, the buck stops here, or whatever that saying is, it stops, then I was free. I was free. And that's what I want for each and every one of us, and that's why I'm so passionate about the work that I do. So let's go into this for a moment. Forgiveness is a process of giving up the old for something new. I love that line. That's what it is. I have the opportunity to give up the old and start anew. And there's no way in the world, don't want to be a joy killer here, but there's no way in the world that you can start something new if you're hanging on to something old. Now, it sounds simple for me standing here, but it takes the work, but the work is so rewarding. It is so fulfilling to be able to start something new by releasing the old. It says, old experiences and memories that we hold on to in anger, resentment, shame, or guilt cloud our spirit mind. Yeah, because see, our spirit is free. That's who we are. We're free to move and expand and do anything we want, but when we hold on to it with anger, you see that? You hold on to it with your fist like that. I'm not letting go. You're going to pay for this. The vengeance is big, right? Revenge. You're going to feel. What do we really want? We want you to feel the pain that I felt. A simple thing, even being insulted, which doesn't happen to me a lot. Just like every other day. But what happens is I'm still holding on to this. And what happens? Nothing. But when you go like that, you're absolutely free. Free. Yeah. So We go on to say the truth is everything that has happened had to happen. Oh, that's weird. What do you mean it had to happen? Given that time and space and everything that everybody knew in this little play that we're playing, when we look at our history, our past, everybody was playing the only part that they knew how to play at the time they were playing it. How am I going to, oh God, if that's true, then I can't blame them. No, you can still give them responsibility for it. But blame's a waste of time too, because it ends up just poisoning us. What is it? You drink the poison. What is that saying? Rita, what is that saying? You drink the poison. Yes, you drink the poison expecting it to kill somebody else. Is that too deep? Except you're the one that drank it. Thank you. That's Rita Andriello. She's my one and only. She's the only class member I have right now. And we have Rob too, and Angela eavesdropping in the next room. So there was something. It said, it was a growth experience. Oh, don't you love that, especially when you're in the middle of something really tragic? They go, it's a growth experience, and all you want to say is, well, I won't even say it because they'll be cussing on the video, and we don't want to do that. But hindsight, it always ends up a growth experience because you always realize, because of the things that have happened in your life, that you're exactly where you want to be today. And if you don't want to be there, good news. We don't have to stay there either, but we do have to let go. And for me, I have to forgive. And that's everything, but we won't say everything now because that's a little too much. There was something you needed to know or learn, absolutely, or I wouldn't have gone through it. If there wasn't something I did, and if you cannot go back, I'm on a roll now. If you cannot go back into the past and take away wisdom, then there's no reason to go back in the past. Because all you're going to take away is resentment, pain, anger, and all of those emotions. Deal with them. Let them wash through you. But if we can go back and we can say, oh, I'll tell you what, that was pretty painful, but I'm taking wisdom with me, and I'm going to use it for my new life. Make sense? Yeah? Okay, if you stay angry, hurt, afraid, ashamed, or guilty, you miss the lesson. Self-explanatory. You will be stuck in a cloud of pain. Have you ever been stuck in a cloud of pain? I know I have. And it's something that I do not want to do a lot of. But at least we have tools. That's what this is all about. This is about having tools that when we go through this or a memory pops up that you thought you were over, I know we can all relate to that. I'm done with that. I cleared that up, and then somebody triggers you, and you are like catapulted back into time. Time tunnel. Back there to the time, and then you thought I was over it. All it is a memory. Let it float through. And if it does need to be taken care of, take care of it. Give yourself that big, you know me, that big inner child hug. Okay. The power of forgiveness. Do you believe that there is a power? This isn't our thing, is it? Okay, good. There is a power in forgiveness. Someone said to me the other day, how can there be power? What do you mean power? Power, of course there is. There is no power in non-forgiveness except you feel good for a moment because I'm not going to forgive you, and then you're the one that suffers, right? Yeah. Okay, so forgiving is made easy by loving and forgiving yourself first. If there's nothing that you think you need to forgive yourself for, that's fine. But I know for me, when I forgive myself, especially with childhood stuff, that I said, oh, wait a minute, I've been blaming myself for something that I wasn't responsible for. That's very freeing. So I'm a love yourself guru because I have to work on it on a daily basis and sometimes even an hour-to-hour basis to continue to love yourself. And love yourself isn't just thinking I'm so wonderful, even though I have a tendency to exude that at times, how wonderful I think Patrick is. It takes work, can you believe it? It takes work to love yourself. What? It takes work to love yourself. That's because as we grew up, there are things that we think we don't deserve, and that is sometimes love. So the other one is ask forgiveness from your inner child. What does that mean? I know what it means. It means this. I remember asking my inner child, because I have a lot of trust issues. I did have a lot growing up and work through them. But I said, who do you not trust? I held once I really got great at my dialogue with my inner self, my inner child, I said, what is it? Who is it that you don't trust? And that voice from within, and that feeling from within said, I don't trust you. And I was shocked. Because all this time I thought I was on my side. But abandonment issues are very big sometimes in our lives. Not always, not with everyone. But I know that that part of me felt abandoned because I was saying what I wasn't getting there, I wasn't getting over there, they didn't do that, my teacher called me stupid, I carried all this stuff with me. But then when my child, that part of Patrick, needed me, myself, I was sitting there calling myself stupid. I was calling myself this, fat, ugly, whatever it was, I was doing that. Or I was so busy helping and doing everything for everyone else that part of me that said, you teach this stuff about inner child, but you're not even taking care of me, and I'm your inner child. Well, needless to say, I cried a little bit, and I felt a little bit, and I made a promise, and this is a promise I made my inner child. I cannot promise you that I'm not going to disappoint you somewhere down the road, Patrick. But I'm going to tell you one thing, that you can count on one thing. I'm not going to leave you, that I'm on your side, and when I do, I'm going to say, I'm sorry. And that's a really good thing to say to yourself. We said it the other day, to take just a moment to not say that your inner child or this inner you doesn't need to have the past erased, but it needs to be understood. And so we needed somebody to say, I'm sorry you went through that. And so I think it's so important for one to take themselves, he or she take themselves and say, I am so sorry you had to go through that. And that's even up to date now. You go through a lot of stuff now, medical, go through something, to take a moment just to say, you know what, I am so sorry that you're experiencing that now. Then I have something from T.D. Jakes, who's this wonderful, I think, Baptist minister, wild guy. He says, I think the first step is to understand that forgiveness does not exonerate the perpetrator. Forgiveness liberates the victim. It's a gift you give to yourself. If I didn't say anything else, if this wonderful video went out like it did the last week, that I would, if I had nothing else to say, I would have to say that this is forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. Because to be free, there is nothing like it. Money cannot buy it. All the compliments in the world cannot buy it. But when you realize that by forgiving, you're giving yourself a gift, you're not sitting there thinking, I'm excusing all of the behavior of someone else. Now, here's a question I want you to ask yourself. Is it more difficult to forgive another or yourself? Pause. I'm kidding. Because this comes up a lot. I forgot exactly what the majority was in class last week. But is it more difficult to forgive another or yourself? And I think it came back to yourself was the hardest thing to forgive. Because it's so true. We're looking for forgiveness, and we do the slightest little thing. We can't make something work. Right, Rob? Something doesn't work, and then you sit there and you go, oh, what did I do? And sometimes you just have to, what? Unplug it all, forgive it all, unplug it, and plug in something new. Wow, this is good. The other class, that I'm glad you're all watching because they didn't get this metaphor. Yeah, right? Unplug it all and reboot. Reboot, you deserve it. You deserve it. Freedom is the reward of forgiveness. Loving yourself is the only way to forgive. Absolutely. If you do not love yourself and you're still blaming yourself for anything, or you are swimming in non-deserving, I'm telling you, I don't know how we could forgive. So loving yourself is number one. And then, as we just used in that little demonstration metaphor, what happens when you plug it all back in, Rob? Power is restored. Wow, I didn't know that doing it to a class in an empty room could be this fun. Anyway, Rita, can you have some expression? Rita's in the room, everyone. Okay, so let's just run this little circle here. I'm going to be very clear on one of them. So emotional, ask yourself, you're watching now, just think of what we go through emotionally when we forgive and when we don't forgive. So the emotions, the feelings that go with it. I know that when I don't forgive, I can feel really stuck and really frustrated and still caught in that resentment, that thing that says, I want you to pay for the pain that I felt. You know, hurt people hurt people. And that's what it really is. When we are in that kind of hurt, we're really, anger, when I get angry, I don't know about any of you, but when I get angry, it's because I'm hurt. Because that little part of me, that little vulnerable part of me is hurt. And when I get hurt, you want to defend it and you get angry. So mental is just really how we handle it, right? I mean, how do we handle this thing called forgiveness? This mental, it's mental, emotional, physical. Non-forgiveness affects every part of our bodies. We know it. We know that stress is a killer. We know that it causes us to break down our immune system. And if you've ever been in that kind of non-forgiveness or that threatening part of us, the saber-toothed tiger chasing us, our adrenaline is going, and how am I going to get him back? And you're rehearsing what you're going to say to him in the car when you get to him. Or they don't even, I'm talking about people that are here. We're still carrying on people. I know that I still was carrying on stuff with my mom long after she went. My dad, I handled him somewhat when he was here, but when my mom left, I still carrying that stuff, and they're not even here, right? So love yourself enough to forgive. So the one here, as I want to say, is spiritual. I used the term spiritual bankruptcy last week. And I want to explain exactly what I mean by spiritual bankruptcy. First of all, spirit is never bankrupt. Spirit is the very breath that I'm breathing right here and right now. I am breathing that. That is who I am. But something that I'm finding that as a spiritual leader and a continuous seeker and finder is that spirituality is not only who we are, but it needs an invitation. It needs an invitation to operate fully in our lives. And we do that when we demonstrate. We do that when we do a spiritual mind treatment. But as far as regarding spiritual bankruptcy, what happens is I rely on spirit. I depend on that energy to move me. And when I get caught in that wanting revenge, or I'm not going to forgive, and it'll be a cold day in hell that I do that. No, there's not. Then what am I doing right now? I mean, I can even feel in my body just acting it out. It's going like this. And I feel spiritually bankrupt. I feel like the very thing, and as we talk about money bankruptcy, or people go in debt, and they do, total in debt when I don't forgive because I'm not allowing spirit, which is love, that power to move through me as me. So to be spiritually bankrupt, spirit has never deserted you. Let me just make that real clear. Spirit is still there, but it needs an invitation. It needs for us to say, I know you're here. I can love instead of not forgive. I can love, I can love, I can love. And then you watch it open up doors. And then you go to freedom to forgive. How y'all doing out there? Now I get a little break, kind of. I'm going to bring up the wonderful Rita Andriello, who has had so much exuding expressions in her face as she was watching me just conduct this. And so we're going to do an exercise, and Rita will explain it to you. And since we don't have a lot of people, I will do it with, do you still have us framed, Rob? You okay? So Rita will explain it, and I will take part in it. I'm just going to get a little drink of water right over here. And it has worked
All right.
perfect.
This mic was on.
I'm coming over to you. What?
All right. So this exercise, okay. First of all, I want to give credit to Reverend Dr. Harry Morgan Moses, who is a science mind minister in California. And so this exercise, you could do it if you have somebody very close to you, somebody that's very good at it as far as being understanding and being compassionate and being able to remove themselves from the emotions that might come up and hold your emotions. So it was interesting because somebody after the class last time said, I don't know, I think I should send the person to you, Rita. And there's some truth to that, only because I have had experience doing it and I practiced it and I'm, have that background. But I still believe that people could do it with somebody very close to them. But what it is
one thing I just want to say about that, we did send that to you, and if we did not, and you did not get it, we did send it to you, but if you lost it in your email or whatever, go ahead and contact Angela, and she will send it out again.
So the steps are this. First of all, you ask who are they. This is for forgiveness of another. It's not for forgiveness of yourself. This is for forgiveness of another. So who do you need to forgive, and what do you need to forgive them about? And then you talk about that. Then the second one is, where in your body are you holding any kind of pain regarding this? And that could be, and Patrick mentioned that before, it could be anywhere. It could be in your heart. It could be, I know when I've been hurt, sometimes you just kind of feel a ping in your heart. It could be in your gut. It could be in your head. It could be anywhere in your body. The person that did it last time, she said that she felt a lot of stiffness in her arms and limbs. And so, it's individual. And then after you've determined all of that, then you state in the positive what you would have preferred for the person to do. And we're going to demonstrate this. You state it in the positive, what you would have preferred to receive. So let's say it was love from your parent, a father or a mother, and they never paid attention to you and, never recognized you. You would say, Mom, I would have preferred that you would have valued me. Mom, I would have preferred that you would have recognized my talents. Mom, I would have preferred, and you just build on that. And that's the number 3. And then number 4 is the most really powerful part of the whole exercise. It's where you cancel your expectations of them ever doing those things that you would have preferred them to do. So it's going to be hard for me to do it with my arms, but maybe you can show them. Just what the motion is.
Yeah, the motion is this.
Yeah, because I'm holding the mic. Yeah, the motion is the cancellation. And you say, I cancel the expectation of you ever having treated me kindly. I cancel the expectation of you ever having complimented me and valued me. I cancel, and you keep saying it until you actually feel it. Because one of the biggest things about forgiveness is the expectations we have that things would have been different. The expectations we have that maybe it never would have happened. We try to change the past, and that has a lot to do with why we can't forgive, because we just had these expectations and they weren't met. So you cancel the expectation and you keep doing it until you really actually feel that you've canceled them. And then then you give the person the total responsibility for their part in it. Whatever that was. I give you back total responsibility for not having valued me. I give you total responsibility for you never telling me that you loved me. I give you you hand it back their part in it. That's basically what you're doing. Not condemning them, but just giving them their responsibility. And then you take a deep breath, you go to your higher self, and there's a prayer, and it says, I now send my love out to you, just as you are, just as you have always been, and I now release you to your highest good. And you do that a couple of times until you feel that. So we're going to do that. Are we going to do it?
Example,
Okay. So do you have a situation?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and, we did this, we did a podcast for heart-centered
Gratitude.
Heart-centered.
Living in heart-centered gratitude.
Yeah, living in heart-centered gratitude with Patricia Wagner, I believe, and it's a wonderful podcast. Just want to give her a little plug there. But we went and did it there too, so there was a kind of a quick example of it, but I wanted to take just a little bit more time, not a lot, but to actually demonstrate that. So I'm going to use, because I've been writing this book, I've been finding lots of things that are popping back up. Sister Mary Jeanette.
Okay,
From
great.
from 8th grade.
So what do you need to forgive about Sister Mary Jeanette and the situation, whatever it was?
The situation was as such, we were graduating, it was 2 weeks to graduation, and I was called over to the convent. First of all, Sister Mary Jeanette had a stroke, and she was unable to come back to school. She was the principal and the 8th grade teacher, and we were in 8th grade ready to go. So she called me over, and I didn't know what it was, but I went over to the convent, and she informed me that first of all, that I tried to say I was sorry that she was going through this, and she said, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from you. So I could tell right then that something was wrong. And she said, I have never hated a class more than your 8th grade, all the years of all of you, every year till we got to 8th grade. And that she wanted to let me know that I was personally responsible for her stroke and for her, it's funny that it has emotion, even as I just said that. That's amazing. That I was the cause of it, and the class was, but I was really because of who I was, my leadership and my stuff in the school. But, and she wanted me to know that before she graduated, and she was very, very happy that she'd never see any of us again.
And how did that make you feel?
Well, obviously, I'm sitting here right now, and I'm still there. It made me feel horrible, made me feel hurt. It made me feel like...
Did you feel like you were responsible?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I was so shocked that a nun could tell me that. I was shocked.
Right.
Because I did a lot of things, but I didn't even know that I could even be possible to have the kind of power to give somebody a stroke or to hurt their life like that.
Okay.
I sound like I'm like 6.
Okay, and do you feel this anywhere in your body?
Let me just check in.
Yeah, check in.
Yeah, heart.
Yeah,
heart.
that makes sense.
Heart right here, my chest.
Yeah, okay, good. That's good. So you can see how simple it really is to bring it up, and you can also see that emotion is going to come up, and to not be afraid of that because you're safe. And I'm telling Patrick right now that he's safe, that you're with somebody you can trust, that you also have the highest power of all, which is the power and presence of spirit, of that little inner child inside of you that keeps you safe, right? And so it's okay to feel the emotions, because by feeling the emotions, you're able to release them. If you deny that you have the emotions and the pain, then what do you have to work with, right? So don't be afraid of the emotions. That's why it's important to be with someone you trust and feel safe with. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do it then, all right?
I would prefer...
No, we're going to start with, I would prefer to Sister, and you're going to talk directly to Sister Mary Jeanette and tell her what you would preferred, and you stay in the positive, okay? Like not, I would have preferred that you not, da-da-da.
Right.
I would prefer that you would have.
Right. Okay, I would have preferred, Sister Mary Jeanette, that you acknowledged me for the great things that I did do the 8 years that I was there.
Okay.
I would prefer...
I would have preferred.
I would have preferred, Sister Mary Jeanette, that, but it's not negative, so...
I know, it's hard.
I would have just preferred that I was not blamed for that. I mean, I don't know the turnaround of that, but...
I would have preferred...
I would have preferred...
that you would have, I don't know, respected me, and...
I would have preferred that you would have respected my feelings, and I would have preferred that this young man, only 12 years old, 13 years old...
maybe that she saw your gifts.
Yes, well, definitely.
Because you had a lot of gifts, right?
I had a lot of gifts.
I would have preferred that you would have recognized all the good things that I did when I was there. You said that already, right? I would have preferred, what else?
I would have preferred to be treated, like the word respect keeps coming up, but I would have preferred, well, actually what I would have preferred is to have a loving conversation with you.
Yeah.
I would have preferred for us to talk about what are you going to do next in high school? I would have preferred that I was given some value for the time that I spent there.
Right, maybe that you would have been, been excited about my future.
Right.
And possibilities, right? And did you have a belief in Jesus and stuff at that time?
Yeah,
And the saints
absolutely.
and stuff, right? And
Right.
so did she, right?
Yeah, you
So,
you would think so.
so I would have preferred perhaps that,
Yeah.
we might have a conversation about
Right.
one of the saints and had some forgiveness going on or
Right.
something like that.
And I would have preferred that we prayed instead of condemned. That's what I.
That's good. All right. Say them all again as much as you can remember.
I
and
would have preferred
talk
that.
to, talk to
Sister
Sister
Mary
Mary
Jeanette, I would have
If you want to
prefer-
close your eyes, it's fine too.
Sister Mary Jeanette, I would have preferred that you acknowledged all my gifts that I gave to St. David's. I would have preferred that we talked from a place of God and good and Jesus at that time at the convent. I would have preferred that I was, treated and asked what I was going to do after I left there and to take all my gifts out there. I would have preferred to just been treated with more love.
That's beautiful. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to cancel all those expectations because
Okay.
that she could ever do that. So just use the hand motion. Use her name,
And so it's
Sister Mary Jeanette.
I know,
I cancel
so-
the expectation of you ever.
Sister Mary Jeanette, I cancel all the expectations that you will ever treat me with respect. Sister Mary Jeanette, I cancel all expectations of us having a loving conversation. I cancel any expectation of anything being any different than it was that day in the convent.
Keep going.
Sister Mary Jeanette, I cancel any expectation that you're going to wish me well on my next journey as I go into high school.
Keep it going.
Sister Mary Jeanette, I cancel any expectations that you would have treated me with love.
Keep going.
I cancel any expectation that anything's going to be different.
Okay. How do you feel?
Fine, I
You
just,
see how he has some emotion? That's okay. Thank you for not being afraid. Do you want to keep going with it?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Did you feel like you canceled the expectation?
No, I cancel, yeah.
Okay.
What's hard is to not do the other. Like, I cancel the expectation that,
Yeah, yeah.
But actually, I can't even think of it now, so that means it
Okay,
probably
that's
got
good.
canceled.
All right. And, well, let's keep going and then I'll
Yeah.
say it. Okay, so now you're going to give her total responsibility back for it all. For her part in all
Right.
this.
Sister Mary Jeanette, I give you back all the responsibility for how you treated me that day. Everything. I give back all the responsibility for the way you treated me and the things that you said to me. I give that all back to you.
Okay. Do you feel like you gave it back to her?
Yeah, I just want you to know, Sister Mary Jeanette, that this is all yours now. I'm going to give you all back your
Oh, good.
responsibility.
That's beautiful.
This is all yours.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just take a deep breath. Let's just go to our highest place where that power and presence of spirit, of life, of love resides. That heart space, that inner child, that loving presence that guards and protects us at all times. And just repeat after me. Take another deep breath. Sister Mary Jeanette,
Sister Mary Jeanette,
I now send my love out to you,
I now send my love out to you,
just as you are,
just as you are,
just as you have always been.
just as you have always been.
And I now release you to your highest good.
And I now release you to your highest good.
Let's say it one more time. Sister Mary Jeanette,
Sister Mary Jeanette,
I now send my love out to you,
I now send my love out to you,
just as you are,
just as you are,
just as you have always been.
just as you have always been.
And I now release you to your highest good.
And now I release you to your highest good.
So just taking another deep breath. I recognize that the work that Patrick has done here has been fruitful and good, and that now all things are healed. And that on the higher plane of consciousness, there has been a shift and a change that affects Patrick's life in the best and highest way. And also Sister Mary Jeanette, wherever she is, affects her in the best and highest way. I know this is good, and I am grateful for the authenticity and the love that has taken place here. And I now release my word and this experience, and I let it go as I affirm, and so it is.
So it is.
So just take another deep breath, and just bring yourself back when you feel comfortable.
Yeah, that was good.
How do you feel?
Good.
Good.
A point to be made is there was one moment that it's like a kid. You forgot one thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I went, okay, what was that? That he wanted to release all expectations of ever understanding why she did it.
Okay.
It was important because
Right.
you're going to release because you don't know.
Yeah, I release all
expectations
All right,
of-
well,
of-
the good news is you can always do this
Oh,
several
yeah.
times, right? So if he needed to go back and do
Right.
that, if he didn't feel like he could do it, by
No,
just
that
saying
felt
it.
that felt completion.
But you
when-
can, and sometimes it might take more than one time, so.
right. Especially
but-
like this because we're
yeah,
doing
'cause
this
we're kinda
as
rushing.
an example
Yeah,
and
so.
so
But
that you
yeah.
can do it on your own or set up a session with one of our wonderful practitioners or one of us. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's good.
so it's
Thank
good.
you, Rita.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably give him a hug, but I think he's okay.
You can give me a hug.
Okay.
That's fine. Oh, thank you. So, yeah, I think that the reason I brought up that one thing about the inner child is because you want to honor that when when it's speaking to you like it did to me. You forgot one thing. It's like a little kid. You forgot one thing. Because as I said before, I think the inner child wants to understand more than it wants to erase the past. So, because sometimes, and we have that in our life now as adults, we just can't understand how somebody could have said what they said to us or treated us the way that they do. And that doesn't take, that's not only the inner child. That's like, what? How did that happen? But this kind of work allows us to handle it when it does. Nice stuff. Well, at least nice, good. You know what I mean. So I love this breakthrough from and to forgiveness because I always want to remind ourselves and invite us all to remember that when we break free to forgiveness, that we're breaking free from us, not to forgiveness, but from forgiveness, and then it ends up to forgiveness. So another one, too, that we have here is Ho'oponopono, and that is Dr. Len's. Yeah, Dr. Len's version of it. I use this all the time. I know Rita does. I know that this is a wonderful, wonderful mantra that we use. And it says, I am sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. What I've discovered about Ho'oponopono throughout the years is that the reason that Dr. Len, Hugh Lin, how he was able, his big story is that there was a mental institute that had a lot of very, 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 very deep and very dangerous at times too, because mental illness can do that, locked in this mental facility, this institute, and he took all of their records of all that was wrong with them, never really looked at any of them. He didn't look to see what was wrong with them, but he did do Ho'oponopono over these records as just a vibrational frequency. And within 2 years of doing that, that entire institute was pretty much empty. And he never saw the patients. He never went in to see them to get that feeling and to use this. No, he just took all of their information that is said about them, and he did this, and they were freed. So this went on. So what I want you to do in a brief moment is, and wherever you are right now, just take a couple of deep breaths. We're going to say it together, and we're going to just let the vibration kind of work through us and as us. So you can say it with me. I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Now whisper it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Take a deep breath. And any time that you feel you need this freedom, you're not forgiving anyone. You just forgive what you're forgiving and what you're releasing. I love releasing better than even forgiving. What you're releasing is all of what we were just talking about, all the expectations, all of the blame, all of that. And we just come back to source, come back to self, and we get to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Wow, four little phrases, and I say it a lot out on the path. And anytime you feel like you just need to even just saying it right now, I feel so centered after taking that time. Okay, so we're going to go into reparenting, and we'll just have a few moments on that. But I want to read something to you. It's called Wholehearted Parenting Manifesto by Brene Brown. And so what I'd like you to do wherever you're watching this is that just to take a moment, let down anything you've been writing or been journaling or whatever you're doing, and just take a moment as I read this. And this is something that she came up with for her children, for her kids, and for parents. But I believe that if this were said to us and our inner child, and we read this to ourselves, that it would make a world of difference. So just take a moment while I read this. It's called The Wholehearted Parenting Manifesto by Brene Brown. Above all else, and really think of that inner child inside of you, above all else, I want you to know that you are loved and lovable. You will learn this from my words and actions. The lessons on love are in how I treat you and how I treat myself. I want you to engage with the world from a place of worthiness. You will learn that you are worthy of love, belonging, and joy every time you see me practice self-compassion and embrace my own imperfections. We will practice courage in our family by showing up, letting ourselves be seen, and honoring vulnerability. We will share our stories of struggle and strength. There will always be room in our home, that's home within, for both of these. We will teach you compassion by practicing compassion with ourselves first, then with each other. We will set and respect boundaries. We will honor hard work, hope, and perseverance. Rest and play will be family values as we practice as a family. You will learn accountability and respect by watching me make mistakes and make amends, and by watching how I ask for what I need and talk about how I feel. I want you to know joy, so together we will practice gratitude. I want you to feel joy, so together we will practice vulnerability. And we will learn vulnerability. When uncertainty and scarcity visit us, you will be able to draw from the spirit that is a part of your everyday life. Together we will cry and face fear and grief. I will want to take away your pain, but instead I will sit with you and teach you how to feel it. We will laugh and sing and dance and create. We will always have permission to be ourselves with each other. No matter what, you will always belong here with me. As you begin your wholehearted journey, the greatest gift that I can give to you is to live and love with my whole heart and to dare greatly. I will not teach or love or show you anything perfectly, but I will let you see me, and I will always hold sacred the gift of seeing you. truly, truly, deeply seeing you. Wow. How wonderful to think of if that would have been said to us, and probably some of this had been said to us, but I think it's just so wonderful when you transfer it over to yourself and to the inner you, and you speak that way to yourself. I hope you enjoyed it as much as me. So reparenting is pretty simple. Well, parenting is not simple at all. Reparenting can be, well, it might be even better reparenting because you learn more as you grew up. But the reparenting of self, of that inner child, is basically, we cannot go back and change the past, but what we can do, and what I know that we can do in every moment, is we can give ourselves the things that we thought we missed. And that writing of Brene Brown's really tells it. If we could just give ourselves those things, those times when we're scared and we know it, to stop for a moment and say, I know you're scared, I got you. Patrick, I know that things are really rough right now, and I'm sorry that they're happening, but there's always a solution. We'll get through this. Reparenting as the inner child is about learning the dialogue again, learning how to speak to yourself with safety and with love and with respect, like I was talking about with Sister Mary Jeanette, to really just take that time to say and to look at what we can celebrate about ourselves, and not always what we are condemning. Reparenting for me is like the story of the little girl who makes a big mess in the room, and the teacher walks in and says, you are a mess. And that little girl says, I may have made a mess, but I am not a mess. Wow. So reparenting is just that. I will leave my goal in life is to leave no child inside. Yeah. So when you speak kindly to your inner child each day, have a loving and soothing inner voice, one that is supportive, soft, nurturing, patient, and comforting. Not the one that says, I can't believe how stupid I am. Why did I do that? That observation, remember, we are of the observer and the observed. And so whatever we say to ourselves, that part of ourselves is hearing every single word of what we're saying. So tell yourself as many times as you need it that you love yourself, you are safe, you are more than enough, and I am proud of you. Always, I am proud of you, I am proud of me. I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Master Jesus said, I tell you the truth, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. And that is basically the state of mind of heaven. Unless you become like a child with new eyes, with everything that you see and do, there's no way that we can move through into a thriving energy that I know that each and every one of us desires on some level, once we get past anything that tells us we don't deserve it. Whatever you wished you had been told as a child, you are free to give it to yourself now. Nothing can stop you from that except a feeling of, I don't deserve that. And if that is where you're at, be where you are. But know that that is where the work is. And I know that on a daily basis, we always run into, do I deserve that? Or we negotiate or bargain. We don't have to bargain. I just heard, I hope I can remember, Barbara Waterhouse, who just passed away actually on Easter. I remember it was something that she said, oh, can you imagine that we have the power, which I consider good, God, we have the power of creation, and we use that power to just get by. We have the power of the of creation itself. We can have anything, be anything, do anything, and we use it just to get by, because it needs an invitation always, right? It's like, I invite you in to just get me by. Just $1 left at the end of all the bills, whatever it is. That child that says, oh, we can have it all. The imagination. Wow, I want that, I want that. Remember, you know the kids that do it, the ones that now as adults irritate us in the stores. When you hear them go, Mom, I want that, I want that, I want that. And we go, oh, spoiled child. Oh, I want this, I want that. But in reality, this is just, I'm getting more buzzes today than I did last week, so I'm glad we're doing this. In reality, that child knows what it's talking about. I want that, I see that, I want to eat that, but yet that'll make you sick. I don't know, but it's cotton candy. What? And I'm not suggesting that we run around the island or wherever we are. I'm not suggesting that we run around and we go, I want that and I want that. That's not what we're not acting, we're not saying to be childish. We're acting as adults to have childlike wonder. And that is to say, there is this kingdom of heaven that I can have right here and right now if I can become like that little child. Okay, instill safety and trust in yourself to reach the inner child. Absolutely. Parenting starts with being able to trust and to be able to say, we keep so much, we were just talking about that the other day, Rita and I. We spend so much time not being honest with that child when you're parenting and don't let the kids know and don't let, the kids really do want to know. They were talking about a man who's unemployed and he doesn't want to tell his kids, so he's putting on this real brave act when the kid's going to find out anyway. And if he would just go and say, you know what, I'm kind of scared right now. We're going to be okay. I promise that. I don't want you up worrying all night, but I'm going to tell you, if Dad's acting a little strange, it's just because he's a little scared because he wants the best for this family, wants the best for us. And sometimes I'm having a little trouble with my job and things are a little, but we're going to get through it. Don't forget we're going to get through it, but I just wanted you to know why Dad was acting different. Oh my God. The kid would be I would be in a whole different space. And that's how we have to talk to ourselves. Why are you acting like this today? Why are you so moody? Why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing it because I'm kind of scared, or I don't know why, but I bet I do. And I just want you to know that no matter what, I love you, Patrick, no matter what you're going through. Okay. You are now the parent of yourself, right? Good. The end? That is an impossibility. The end? Wait a minute, let me look at this. I also set you beyond forgiveness questions. And these are just things like when you think of this person or event, what comes up with you, checking in on your inner child to see where the hurt is coming from. Just some additional stuff that lets you kind of go on a treasure hunt to see what's really going on. I sent that out to you. This is out to you. Rita's out. But I want to take you on one last little journey before Rob turns us off and allows us to get the link and send it to you. First of all, a couple of things. I want to thank you, not just for today or whoever's going to watch this. I want to thank the incredible courage that went on in this room, this very room, for 3 weeks. 3 weeks is never enough. I have a May 20th, by the way, an all day. It won't be filmed because it'll be a lot of running around and doing different experiments and very experiential. It's easy for me to say. And it'll be a whole day of that and a little spoiler alert, Rita's going to be doing Recess with Rita, and she's never done it on the island or in the center. So we're going to get a little hour of her during the day, letting that inner child really play and use the imagination to have a whole bunch of fun. That's that. But I really want to get back to the very courage that went on. I always talk about when we do work like this, we kind of toe dip, and we kind of put our toe in the water, and then we put our foot, and then so many of us, and most of us, all of us actually, jumped in and just went swimming, not knowing exactly what was going on, but allowing that part of ourselves to be free and to explore. And it's not over, like I said, it's not the end, it is the beginning. So I want to just do one last little meditation. I had a vision I explained last week that when I was out on and the difference between a vision and a dream is in a dream I'm sleeping and I was on the path walking, so unless I was sleepwalking, but I don't think so. So I was up there and I had this vision and I just kind of closed my eyes for a minute and I could see and my mom who's been gone for a while and I saw her and she was just like holding this baby. And this baby had like little such diamonds in its hair. And all of a sudden I realized, I went, wow, that's me, that's me. I felt very emotional, and in the dream I could just tell my mom really, really, really loved me. And like I said, since her passing, we've had some stuff that I've had to personally work out. But I could see how much she loved me. And during that time when I saw it, I saw her take this baby that was me, and she handed it to me. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm taking me back, myself to myself. And I could feel that part of me, and I just rested this beautiful little life on my heart. And before I knew it, it became a part of my heart. And it was like a reclaiming of myself and the trouble that my mom and I had had. But it was like a moment where my mom was saying, I'm going to give you back to you now. And it felt emotional, it felt freeing. But I just want to take us on a little, if you'll close your eyes wherever you're at again, and then I'll end and close with the treatment. And once again, thank you for everything that you have given yourself, especially during this time of the quantum inner child. So if you just close your eyes for a moment, we'll just nestle into this moment called now. And that was my mom in my vision, but you can have any vision you want in your mind's eye and your imagination. Just take a nice deep breath. And it can even be yourself. It can even be yourself holding a little baby. But who's ever holding that baby? A father, a mother, a caretaker, an aunt, a grandfather, whoever it is that you are connecting with in this moment. Just be free to explore. No judging, no how is it supposed to be. Just allow yourself to just release yourself and see this energy, this beautiful energy, as you discover that this little baby that this person is holding is yourself. That it is beautiful little you. This new life that has just arrived. You just stand in awe as you look at this baby in the arms of this person that you know very well, and you can feel the love that is permeating between the two, the child, the mother, the father, the grandfather, it doesn't matter, you, or it's just energy. But you feel the love, and you know that something great is about to happen. And you just stand there in continuous awe until you see that hands are reaching out with this baby, with this beautiful little boy or girl that is you, and it is being handed to you. And at first you might even feel uncomfortable. You might even feel like, wow, what's going on here? But you know that everything is about love, that everything is transcended body, physical body is transcended to this thing of love. And you reach out. You reach out and you walk towards this baby that is being handed to you. And you take it in your arms. And you look at this person that loves you enough to give you back yourself. It is time now for us to take care of ourselves, to love ourselves unconditionally. And whoever this person is turns around, smiles, and in my world it blows me a kiss and says, I love you. And in your mind's eye it'll tell whatever it tells. And you look down at this beautiful, beautiful you, and there's a little smile and a little drooling on the side, and you take this baby and you press it against your chest, against your heart. You know that this baby is safe. This thing called you is safe now. Safe and sound in your heart. There is an integration now that has taken place. And with that, I simply know that this unconditional event that has just taken place with the returning of self to the self, that baby, that inner child that is pure love, that has never been touched with anything, is now safe and sound. And I know that all these past 3 weeks have led to this beautiful, beautiful moment. And I am so grateful for the courage that has transpired, and this baby that now lives in our hearts and is allowed to grow and grow and grow as we parent it into this incredible, incredible spiritual being called me, called you. And with that, I am so blessed. I am so filled with gratitude. I can feel the smile on its little lips, knowing that it has come home, that this has been a celebration of homecoming. And with that, I just let us be with this now. I let it go. I let it be. And so it is. So it is. Take all the time you need to be with yourself. We're going to let the technology here. I want to thank Rob. I want to thank Rita. I want to thank each and every one of you. And I want to thank myself and my little inner boy, inner child, for having the courage to stand here and be vulnerable and be as truthful and be as transparent as I can ever be. I love you, and so it is.